Guys, hi, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to take a look at using Domo Jupyter plus Git stroke GitHub. Now, if you're like me, you're kind of a weekend Python developer, so you don't actually know too much about terminal and command line and all of that. So I thought I would walk you through this process. That said, if you're an expert in terminal and command line, then you can just go to the documentation and be successful, because the functionality for using GitHub and Domo Jupyter apparently has kind of been there the entire time. It just wasn't baked into the UI, so a lot of us just didn't know it existed. So here we go. I've got a brand new Jupyter workspace. It's got no files. It's from scratch. Nothing's been done. And I've got some documentation that I wrote up to kind of get us going. I did have the opportunity to talk to the engineers over at Domo about how to do this. They were super helpful, so thanks, guys. And I thought I would just share what I learned with you guys. Also, I wanted to record this video so that as soon as I forget what I did, I can go back to it. We're going to jump into Jupyter Workspaces. We're going to open up Terminal. And again, if you don't know Terminal, not a big deal, just copy paste. So we're going to start by saying, hey, I need to config who Git thinks I am. And so I'm just going to put in my email here. Great. I need to give myself a name. Then I need to generate an SSH key. This SSH key is going to be used in authentication against GitHub. I can't type and talk, so pregnant pause. It's going to generate a public and a private key pair. So there's going to be a public and a private document that gets generated at the end of this process. Notice it's going to save it in home, Domo, SSH, file name. They're going to accept the defaults, and I think if I refresh here, expecting to see the files, but I do not. So if you don't see them, here in Terminal you can use the ls command, which is the same as list, and it tells me that the only thing in this folder is readme.md. No, I was expecting. What if I go cd? Oh, we're off to a flying start. Refresh. Cool. Right, so what did I do? I just typed in cd/home/domo.ssh. I ran the ls command, and it lists out my documents. Now, I can't double click or click because that would be way too convenient, but what I can do is I can run the cat command, and then I'm just going to copy in the name of my public document. And this is my SSH key. Now notice that key includes, this really long text as well as my email. I need the email as part of the key. Cool. We're now going to head over to GitHub, and we're going to store the public SSH key in GitHub. And I'm going to actually use the link that's in my documentation here, but I could navigate to it. Go to github.com. All right. We are going to go to settings, we're looking for SSH and GPG keys. We are going to add a new SSH key. I'm going to paste in, again, the SSH key and my email, and we're going to call it Domo GitHub. Give it a good old-fashioned name, and we add it. All right, so now I've given a means for Domo Jupyter to authenticate against my GitHub profile. I need to set up a new repository, so I'll go in and create a new repo. We're going to call it Domo GitHub Sync. I'm going to actually just accept the defaults. We'll make it a public repo. I'm not going to initialize it with a README or anything like that because I actually need the instructions for how to add the remote. Okay, so we are going to be using SSH, not HTTPS. That's super important, right? Because the SSH URL is what's going to take advantage of that SSH key we just uploaded. If you use HTTPS, you'll have to remove the origin and put it back in again. All right, so let me actually just copy these instructions. C would be in some ugly form. The nice little code block extension for formatting code blocks. So let's do that real quick. Okay. All right. So we need to go into Domo Jupyter, and we need to go about configuring my repository. Now I'm currently in the .ssh folder. That's not where I want to be. I think the easiest way to get into the correct folder, I'm going to close Terminal, open up a new instance of Terminal, and it tells me that I am in this folder called README. Now, in Jupyter Workspaces, I could have multiple workspaces, just like I can have multiple repositories. So for the sake of conversation, I'm going to add a new folder. I'm going to call this Project 1. If I type ls, I can see, okay, there's a folder called Project 1, so I can change directory, Project 1. If I type ls, there's nothing in it. Cool. I'm in the place where I want to initialize my GitHub repo, so I'll type in git init to initialize. I will add I don't have a README file in Project 1 yet, so let me make a new markdown file. We'll call it readme.md. I'll double click that guy to open it, my beautiful MD markdown. Cool. So now I need to tell GitHub that I have a new file called readme.md that I want to add to my repository. I want to move this into GitHub. So I've added that. I now need to commit. I need to tell Git, hey, these are the changes that I want to have for this file. Cool. And then I need to tell it that I want to have my branch called name. And then I'm going to tell it, hey, this is where I want you to send my stuff to in GitHub. And now we want to push it to GitHub. If you don't push to GitHub, GitHub doesn't have anything in it, as we can see. So we'll go ahead and say push. Authenticity cannot be established. Okay, yes. Stuff got done, stuff got done, stuff got done. Let's go over here to GitHub, press refresh. Stuff got done. I have a markdown file called my beautiful markdown. Cool. So what happens if I create a new Jupyter notebook? Say 2 plus equals 2 plus 5. Print text. Cool. So coming back to terminal, let's give this a name. Project.ipynd. So this time I'm feeling lazy. I'm going to do git add dot, which I believe should add all of the files. I need to git commit, and I'll say my message is added a new project. Sweet. Now I need to git push to the origin and push it to the main branch. Back to GitHub, press refresh. Aha! Look at that. Fantastic. It is beautiful. Okay, so what did we learn? We learned that we can send stuff from Domo Jupyter to GitHub, which I think is kind of a baseline that anybody that's doing any kind of development requires or wants. What this allows us to do is this allows me to share any of the work that I develop in Domo Jupyter with any of my coworkers who might be using Google Colab or any other Jupyter tooling. It allows me to share the stuff that I've developed in my Domo Jupyter notebook with a user who might have their own Domo Jupyter environment that they're trying to work with. So it's a very much a necessary collaboration tool. I think I'll link this Domo Jupyter documentation that I put together in the video. But otherwise, good luck, have fun, and I'll catch you guys later. Hope that was useful.